My name is Sam Watkins. I'm 18. I'm from Maryland, and this is my sister. You want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Hannah. I'm 20 years old. We have a brother, Noah, over there. He's 21. Noah, say hi.
No, can you wave?
Wait, there you go.
Stand up, Noah. Yeah. Hey, bud. All right, and so last year our parents and Noah came to this. They were the only three in our family. There are 6 of us in total. It's Noah is the oldest, he's 21, then Hannah's 20, I'm 18, and we also have a 16-year-old brother, Adam. Adam, do you want to stand up? Stand up. Yeah, he's 16, he's really big. So there are 6 of us in our family, and our parents came last year and they brought Noah, and they gave a presentation. I'm sure some of you remember that if you were here. And they had a lot of interest, a lot of questions about family and family dynamic and siblings and how you balance it all. And one of the ideas that came up is if siblings gave a presentation kind of from their perspective on what it's like growing up in a family with someone with this genetic disorder. So me and Hannah kind of came together, and we're just going to talk about some of the things, how it went growing up with Noah, some of the experiences, what we learned, the goods, the bads, what we wish we would have done differently, what we loved that our family did the way they did. And so just hopefully to give you guys just a different perspective, from a lot of you probably have other children, and I'm sure as you're raising them, that's one of the things you're worried about is how to balance between, raising someone with special needs and how to raise your other children along with them. So we're just going to jump right into this. We have about 5 or 6 different slides and points that we'll talk about, and then at the end we'll open up for a time for questions, and we're hoping we have a lot of questions we can answer. So the first point, we called it a normal abnormality, and we wanted to talk about this because really the angle we wanted to hit with this, the perspective we wanted to take was that it is different. If you look at our family and you see, the 6 of us, and if you looked at a different family with 6 people, with no one with special needs or a genetic disorder, it looks very different. The dynamic, everything that happens, it's very, very different. But to us, it's not really different. To us, it's normal. We've grown up with Noah. Noah's our older brother. Noah has special needs. That's just part of our life. We don't, compare ourselves to other families and say, oh, they have it easier or they have it different. It's just our life. Sometimes it's very different, and maybe there are things that would be easier, but it's our life. It's the only thing we've known. So that's what we wanted to talk about with this. Hannah's going to talk a little bit about.
And another thing that we wanted to talk about is that it's really hard for us to imagine a life without having Noah specifically in our family. Like sometimes we'll try to imagine what it would be like having an older brother who is typical, and like what would he be doing right now, and all that kind of stuff. But we really can't, because this is all we've ever known, and we wouldn't really want to change it for anything, even though it's nice sometimes to think about what it would be like if he was like everyone else's older brother.
Yeah, I remember times growing up, I think Noah's about 3 years older than me, so there would be times I think when he was 16 or 17, I think, what would it be like if Noah was 16 now and he had his license and he could drive and we'd go places, and I try to imagine it, but I really couldn't, and it's just something that you can't really comprehend or think about, in a plausible way. It's just Noah is who he is, and he's our brother, and he's a part of our family, and that's just who we are. So it's very different than other families may be, but to us and probably to your other children, it's what they know. It's normal, and it's a wonderful thing. It's different. It can be challenging, but it's a wonderful thing. Anything else on that point? The next one, it's called In a World of Our Own, and Hannah's going to talk about this first.
So one of the things growing up with a brother like Noah is that it's kind of hard for other people to relate to us. Noah was super fun to grow up with and always the happiest kid, but he would have a lot of issues like potty training and some behavioral issues, and just having someone that's different is hard for other people to understand. And we do have a lot of friends and a lot of people that we know that try their best to, empathize with us and be there for us, but really, it can be very isolating. trying to talk about like what issues you're having at home when no one else can really understand. And we do have wonderful friends. Like we brought our friend McKenna, who is really close to our family, and she's wonderful with Noah. And she's probably one of the, what would you say? One of the people in our life who probably understands best and does best with it, and because she's grown up with our family. But we've kind of come to this point of just understanding and being okay with kind of being the only ones that will ever understand it. And it's nice that we have each other because we can all relate to the same thing.
Yeah, and that's the other thing we want to talk about is it's really about a balance between family and especially for your other children and for us growing up, this was really big, was balance between family because they're the ones who understand. They understand the struggles, what you really do, because it's different. My friends, I have some great friends who really good guys. They love Noah, they understand, but they'll never know what it's like to be out in public and have to take your brother to the bathroom or change his pants or wipe him or clean up after him. They just won't be able to understand that. That's something that they're great people. And I love them. They're my friends, but they will never. That's just a part of my life that they really can't understand, and that's okay. That's just how it is. But there's something about family, because family knows that, they understand, they know what you go through, that is really powerful, and you really need to spend time cultivating it and talking about that as a family, but also knowing that for us it was important sometimes to get away and not have to be around our family and that dynamic, and just to get around our friends and be kids with them and forget about that for a while, because it is a very different reality. So it's definitely got to be a healthy balance between letting your kids go off and you want to escape that for a while, but then also making sure that they realize that it's different, but it's a good different. It's not something that you always want to run away from. It's something you have to embrace and really love and grow with. Behaviors go both ways. This was something, it's still something that's very challenging as a sibling, of someone with these special needs, is there are a lot of behaviors, and I know as parents you probably, struggle with this all the time. Behaviors are hard, they're hard to deal with, but as a sibling they're also hard. As a sibling, sometimes, especially when we were younger, it was hard to understand, and sometimes it seemed really unfair, that we had to put up with this and we had to deal with this, and my friends, they don't have siblings that they have to deal with those behaviors, and why do I have to deal with this? But one of the things that's really important as parents and with your children is teaching them that their reactions are powerful, and their reactions in different situations and to different behaviors are extremely important. Just as parents, I'm sure that when you guys meet with therapists and different behaviorists and people like that, they teach you different ways to handle those things and to deal with the behaviors. Your children need to be included in that. It needs to be a family thing. It can't just be the parents working with the child with special needs. It has to be the whole family. It has to be on board. So your children, they have to be a part of that environment of dealing with those behaviors. I remember when I was probably 8 and 9, I wore a baseball hat. I played baseball. I wore a baseball hat all the time, every day. I would get up, put my favorite baseball hat on, and Noah, my brother, would love to steal my baseball hat. He would come up and he'd take it and he'd run away with it, and it would make me so mad. I would get so mad, and I'd chase him down. And then my parents, after a while, it would get really bad. I'd get so mad at Noah, I would just yell at him. And after a while, they sat me down and they said, "Look, we know this is hard. We know you don't like when he takes your baseball hat, but one of the things that we've learned, and one of the things that you have to learn, is that ignoring him is the best thing to do. Ignoring him is the most powerful thing." And was really hard as an 8 and 9-year-old. When your brother takes something from you, you want to go, pound him and beat up on him, But I learned after a while it worked. Noah, he was looking for that reaction. I'm sure you've seen it. The reactions are powerful. He was looking for that reaction. So he'd come and I'd be on the couch. He'd take my baseball hat and run away. And my natural urge, I just wanted to chase him down, pound him, still get my baseball hat back. But I had to tell myself, no, I can't do it. I have to sit here, give it 5 minutes, give it 10 minutes, walk over there. The baseball hat's going to be on the ground because he doesn't care anymore because I didn't give him that reaction. So teaching your children that and learning that as a family is a really powerful and important thing.
And another way that your other kids can be super helpful in trying to understand
Communication.
your
Communication.
yeah, is communication. Noah makes up his own sign language, which can be really confusing at times. And, we are kind of his first, line of defense. He comes to us and it's our job to figure out, what he's talking about and what he wants. And it can be really frustrating when he's doing some sign that you've never seen before. And he's just doing it over and over and over again and getting super upset because no one understands him. And, we have to go with him. We have to follow him and around the house and see what he wants. And we've done that so many times. But, I think that it's also a great way for us to bond with him. He's just like another sibling. And I don't know, that kind of seems hard. But, I feel like sometimes families with disabilities, it's, their children and then the one with special needs, and there's kind of this divide. And it's hard for them to relate with each other and really feel like they are just siblings. But I guess being so close to Noah and being so impactful in the way that he communicates and shaping his behaviors has really helped us bond with him, and he's just one of us.
Yeah. And I'm sure as parents, that picking up on mood and temperament are a big thing. And as siblings, that's important too. If Adam's in a really grumpy mood, don't mess with him. Don't leave him on the couch. Let him have his, tantrum. Don't go over. And it's the same way with Noah. You can pick up. Noah's in a great mood. I can go joke around with him. That's one of my favorite things. Having Noah as my brother is I love to make jokes with him. Noah is slowly balding, and sometimes I'll go up to him when he's in a good mood, and I'll tap his head and say, "Bald spot." He just loves it. Sometimes he laughs, and then when he's not in a great mood and I try to do that, it doesn't go so well. So picking up on mood and temperament are really important for you to work with your children on, and for siblings to learn, because just like any other sibling, when Noah's not in a good mood, leave him alone. Don't go over and try to play with him. Don't it's just like any other sibling relationship. You got to be able to pick up on the mood and temperament, and sometimes some things are good and sometimes they're bad. So that's a really important thing as well.
So one of the things that my parents did when we were growing up that I think really helped our family was they made a lot of time for Sam and Adam and I individually, and just the three of us. My mom took us out of school in elementary school and homeschooled us, which was, I think, one of the best things that she could have done, because we would go on day trips all the time, and while Noah was in school, so that he didn't feel left out if we left him home, because he went to school all day, and we could go have experiences where we didn't really have to worry about, I guess, all the behaviors and all the things that we usually have to worry about with him. And so that was really good for our family. And we also took a lot of trips as a family. We went to England for 2 weeks, and one time we drove from Maryland to Louisiana to Texas and back in a week. And Noah was with us, and he's been really fun on all of those trips, and my parents did a really good job of just making it normal, of course we had to deal with his behaviors and his feeding pump and his accidents when he was potty training, but we still were able to have a wonderful time, and that didn't really affect how fun it was for us.
Yeah, I would say that even now, that's one of the things that's hard. Is more recently Noah's been having aggressive behaviors, and we've been having problems with that, and he actually had to move into a group home a year or two ago because of those aggressive behaviors. And it's very, we don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know when he's going to be in a good mood. Don't know when he's going to be in a bad mood. When he'll explode. So that's really hard as a sibling. Sometimes he lives about 40 minutes away, and he'll come home and he'll stay the night, and it's different. It's very different when Noah's in the house and when he's not, because when he's in the house and he wants something, you can't ignore him or tell him no. You get a lot of attention. You got to work with him. So sometimes there is the temptation as a sibling. There is that thought that this would be a lot simpler if we just kind of left Noah at his house tonight, and we did something as a family, and we didn't include him in this. But sometimes like I said before, it's it's okay to want to get away from that. It's okay for a sibling to feel that way because it is hard. But other times, you gotta embrace it and accept that he's your brother and he should be there for that experience. He should be there for that. He shouldn't have to miss out just because his behaviors or not wanting to have to deal with it and give him that attention. So it's got to be about a balance. I would say that you're as a parent you can't make your kids feel bad for thinking that way because sometimes it is hard and you do have that thought, oh, it would be so much simpler if Noah wasn't here for this. But it's got to be about a balance and making them understand that that's how it is and it can be a great thing. And it's hard, it's different, but it can be a great thing. And the other thing I would say that my parents tried to do that I really liked was from a young age they figured out what made us feel loved and feel special. And when Noah was little and they were running him from this appointment to that appointment, or we were down in the city in Baltimore for Johns Hopkins for this or that. It takes a lot of time. I'm sure you guys know it takes a lot of time out of your family schedule to do that kind of thing. And it can be hard to pay attention and give time to your other children. But my parents were very strategic about doing that and doing things that made us feel loved. Like if they had to spend a bunch of time with Noah down in Baltimore at those appointments, maybe they would know where we love to eat, and they would give someone money and have them take us out to eat at that place, and they would do things. Maybe it wasn't all the time because they couldn't spend all the time with us that they spent with Noah because it's just different. But they figured out the things that really made us feel loved and special, and that they cared about us just as much and showed us those things because I'm sure you love all your children, but it's just different. I'm sure you know that as parents that you can't give quite as much time to your other children as you have to. With your child with special needs, but that doesn't mean you care about your other children any less or love them any less. It's just different, and you have to figure out how to make them feel as loved and special. And that can be a hard thing, but it's a very important thing for your family. This is our last slide, our last point. We wanted to put this at the end because this is what we really wanted to drive home to leave you guys with was. It's all worth it as a sibling. It's hard. Sometimes it really stinks as a sibling. It's just Noah's throwing a fit in public and throwing things off shelves in the store, and it's hard. It's embarrassing. You're thinking to yourself, why is this happening? Why couldn't this just be more normal? Why does it have to be like this? But when I look at our family and I look at my siblings and I look at myself, there's no other way I would have wanted to have it. There's no alternative I would have preferred. Noah is an amazing person. Noah's an amazing brother. He's part of our family. I love Noah so much. He's my brother. He's the only older brother I ever would want to have. And it's hard, like my friends who have older brothers, they don't. On the way, we drove down here from Maryland. My parents were already somewhere else, so me and Hannah and Noah and her friend drove down here, like 20 hours in the car or something. We got about 5 hours in, and we realized that Noah had an accident and peed his pants, so we had to stop, and they went to Starbucks and got drinks, and I took Noah to the bathroom, and his shorts were covered in pee, and I had to take him to the bathroom and change him and got back in the car, but. I was thinking while I was doing that, I've done that so many times in my life that it didn't really faze me. It wasn't, oh my gosh, why am I having to deal with this? It was this is the problem that's in front of me. How am I going to fix it? How am I going to get back in the car and back on the road? And it wasn't. This isn't fair. It was just my reality. It's just my life. Having Noah as a brother, he obsesses over pictures. He loves pictures of people, and he wants them in certain places. And recently, his obsession has been taping pictures onto the cars. I don't know why, but he just loves to do that. So he loves the process of printing the picture out. He loves, he'll find a picture on the phone that he really wants. He loves to look through our phones, find a picture he wants, then we have to go to CVS or somewhere and get it printed, the like 1 minute photo or something. So we go get it printed, then we take some tape and we tape it up wherever he wants it. And it's really random. You never know where he's going to want it, what picture he's going to want. It's so random. I don't know why he obsesses over that, but he does. So on the way down here, that was one of the things. At the very beginning of the road trip, he found a picture he wanted printed, and we said, all right, Noah, we're driving to Knoxville tonight. Before we go to the hotel, we'll go to CVS, we'll print it, and let you tape it to the car. And he was good. He didn't have any behaviors. He understood that, But that was one of the things that we were dead tired. I've been driving for like 10 hours. Part of me didn't really want to go to CVS and print a picture, just wanted to go to the hotel. But that was something, as Noah's brother, I knew, all right, this was the deal I made with him. I have to go to CVS, I have to print this picture, I have to put it on the car. So those kind of things that most people wouldn't have to think about or deal with, they're just part of our reality, part of our world. And I love the way it is. I love our family. I love our family dynamic. It's not normal. Growing up with Noah is not normal. It's different, but it's a really wonderful and amazing thing.
Yeah, I'd say your other kids are going to be some of the most empathetic people I think that you've ever met, because we can't be selfish a lot of the time, because Noah needs us, and Noah can't talk, and Noah can't do a lot of things by himself, so it's our job to do it. But I think that we're all of us definitely better off because of it, and I think that I'm able to relate to other people who are going through problems in their life and who are different than me so much more than if I hadn't had Noah as my brother. And I think for me specifically, I'm actually in school for nursing now, and I don't know if that's something that I would have chosen to do if I hadn't had Noah. I grew up working his feeding pump and changing his diapers, like my older brother, and I think that definitely is what gave me the desire to go and do that for other people for the rest of my life, and love it. So he's really shaped who I am career-wise and just as a person, and really just everything. And I think I'm so much better because of it.
I think to echo that, Noah has really made us all more understanding people. When we look at people, my friends may look at someone like Noah and they, not in a mean way or an offensive way, but there's something that they don't understand, and they look at them and see them for face value. But when we look at Noah and other people like him and your children here, we see them for everything that they are, and all of their positives and their successes, not their differences and their weaknesses. We see them for really who they are, and that's something that I don't think we would have without Noah. Me and Hannah are both aides with children with autism, and it's so easy for us, because growing up with Noah, to just be normal with them and hang out with them and have a good time with them and support them and help them, because that's what we grew up doing. And that isn't just people with special needs. That will translate to everyone. Your children, if you do these things and really take time to focus on your family and your other children and raising them like this, they will be incredibly understanding people, and that's not just special needs, that's everyone. Everyone they meet, they'll see them for really who they are and their successes as people, and not just their differences. So that's our word, our what we wanted to share with you guys. We have a time for questions now. We really are hoping you guys have a lot of questions that as parents, things you've wondered about. There's a microphone over there. My dad or brother is going to run that around to you.
I was curious how your parents first explained it to you. I have a 5-year-old, so when I'm going to share with 5-year-old, when I'm going to share with my husband, that kind of conversation. So we started the conversation, but
Do you want to talk about
Well, I think for me, Noah and I are only 15 months apart. So Noah's really all I've ever known, and we kind of hit a lot of milestones at the same time since he was a little bit delayed. So I think that more than my brothers, I just had a better understanding of this is just what it is. And I think even when we struggled with, like, why is he different? And why is he doing all these things that he shouldn't be doing and that we wouldn't want him to do? I think my parents just, were like, he's different and he needs you, and I don't know if we ever really...
Yeah, I don't remember us ever having a conversation where we sat down and they said, your brother is different, and here's his diagnosis, this is what's different about him. It was really more of, each situation, each thing that would happen, when we were running around outside and Noah, couldn't go as fast, Noah, couldn't swim with us, that kind of stuff. It was each situation, each time something, he would do something different than us or not be able to do it the same way we did. They would give us an explanation, and it was never just, this is his diagnosis, this is why he's different. It was more of, your brother is different from you, just like other people are different from each other. Just like Adam is different from me, and I'm different from Hannah. Noah is different than us, and Noah has his strengths and his weaknesses and the things that make him, wonderful and amazing and strong, and he has his challenges as well, just as any other sibling has. I don't remember the first time I understood, okay, Noah, has a gene deficiency. Noah has something different. Noah is different in that way. I don't remember a time when I first recognized that. It was just growing up with that sense that, okay, Noah is different, but we're all different. Noah's just different in a different way.
And I think as your kids get older, they're going to go through a lot of phases in how they react to them and how they feel about your child with special needs. Like, I never really went through a phase where I was resentful of Noah, I think because we were so close in age. But I know both of my brothers went through a phase where they did not like him, and they did not want to be around him. But they grew out of it, and I think that was just something that they kind of had to go through and work through. And now we all want to spend a lot of time with Noah because he's really awesome. But I think that might just be something that happens, and there are going to be times when your kids struggle more than other times. And I guess just helping them work through those feelings and maybe giving them some time away, like from your
Yeah, like we said before,
kids.
it's about definitely that balance between, this is our family, this is who we are, we're going to be together and love each other the way we are, and, recognizing that it is different, and, sometimes your other children might need more than other children would to feel that love and that you really care for them. So alone time is a very powerful thing. It shouldn't be that they always want to get away. But it is a good thing sometimes.
Hi, I'm intrigued how you said that you didn't remember your parents saying anything, but here's the dad. I'd love to hear his perspective.
Oh yes, my dad.
So real quickly, I'm dad, Noah's dad, and their dad. And so I ran over to my wife real quick as they were answering that question. I said, do you want to answer this? Both of us said, I don't think we have a much better answer than they're giving already. I don't remember a specific time where we sat down and had like this grand discussion about things are different and whatever. I think it was usually in response to when there was a situation of tension or something like that, like something wasn't going well and there was a behavior or something that maybe wouldn't typically happen in the family. We tried our best to kind of respond and explain through that. I think it is the best of my recollection that there wasn't ever a time where like you sit down with your 12-year-old talk about the birds and the bees, right? We didn't have like a sit down with your kids and talk about Noah discussion like that. It was really a response as we went along. Except I think my prompted the thought of my wife now.
She's crap.
Well, I think one of the things we really tried to do in raising all of our kids is each of them were Christians, and I'll just be real open about that. And I don't know what, everybody has a belief system, and so our belief system is that we're all different, we're all created uniquely, and there isn't a right or wrong, there isn't something's wrong with him. So we never took that perspective, and we didn't put his disability on a pedestal. Like, his problems are up here. Each of our kids had great gifts and great challenges growing up. So, Samuel had really severe allergies, deadly allergies. So we always had to be careful with him in restaurants and out. Adam's type 1 diabetic. Hannah always struggled with the fact that nothing was wrong with her. That was her biggest challenge. There's nothing wrong with her. So each of them had something, right, that kind of was a struggle for them, and each of them had things that made them, just really unique and different in a very positive way. So I don't know, I think we always try never to put Noah's up here, as Noah's is so much more extreme. We just wanted to kind of tone it down and this is just life for Noah. And, life for Adam is, he's constantly jerking his finger and wearing meters and wearing, but he's, everybody just goes on about their daily life. And we try not to make it feel so extraordinary.
I think made a big difference for us because it gave us a sense of responsibility for Colin that I was proud of that. Like I was 12 years old and I was like, I know how to take care of babies better than a lot of moms because I've been changing diapers for however long. I'm 8 years older than Colin, so being able to be an active role and an active caretaker for them was a really positive thing for us. It wasn't always like sometimes when my mom was dealing with one twin and then the other twin would have an accident, that was just annoying because I was doing what I wanted to do, and then it was all of a sudden, hey, I need you to go clean the poop off the crib. And that was something that sometimes it really sucked. And it's okay for it to suck. And it's okay for you to let your kids feel like it sucks. But just giving them a positive role in their care, I think is a huge thing that made it easier for me to understand that because I felt like I understand what they need, and because I understand what they need, I can explain what's wrong with them to other people better, to my friends who came over. So that was a really big help for me, was to feel like I had a role in their life other than just a sideshow because our family felt like a sideshow a lot of the time.
Yeah, if I could just add one thing on that real quick. I think that also is about a balance because as parents, you don't want it to be that you're telling your children that your sibling has these challenges and you have to be there for him to take care of him and to do these things for him, and it can't be they're your sibling. Because they're so different. You don't have to deal with that. It has to be about a balance between encouraging them to take that upon themselves. I know, when we were younger and we'd have to clean up Noah. He had an accident. The most powerful thing. It sucked while I was doing it. I didn't want to be wiping my brother's butt and cleaning him up in a public bathroom. But the most powerful thing was when my parents would come to me after that and say, you're a really great brother. That was we know that your friends don't have to do that kind of thing. Thank you, for taking care of Noah like that. That was the most powerful thing for me was my parents' words and my parents, giving me that recognition and saying, we know that this is not normal, but because it's the situation you're in, this is how you acted.
Hi, I'm Brad. I just want to say something to both of you, and then I have a question to both of you. I really enjoyed your presentation, so thanks for taking the time to hop up here and share your experience. I'm curious about, Max has a brother and a sister, a twin brother and an older sister, and I often wonder if they find themselves in situations when they're away from us, that they have to defend or stick up for their brother that they might not share with us. So I was just kind of curious if you've ever found yourself in that scenario, or if you have, if you might share.
Honestly, most of the people in my life have been really accepting of Noah, and even if at first they might be a little bit scared of him because he's very different and he makes a lot of loud noises but mostly they come around and they just learn to be one of his best friends. But I remember something that stuck with me was we didn't really know anyone else with a child with SATB2 associated syndrome because Noah was just diagnosed 2 years ago. So we didn't really know anyone else with someone just like Noah, but we kind of grew up in the disability world, and we were friends with a lot of kids whose siblings also had disabilities. And I remember one girl came over to our house once with a brother who was autistic, and he was very verbal and not as severely impaired as Noah was. And Noah walked up to her and she started crying because she was so afraid of him. And I think that's one of the things that stuck with me is I'm not sure I ever invited that girl over again because I just think I expected her to have more of an understanding of Noah as a person and just what it would be like to come be in our family because she had someone kind of similar to him. But I think any of the negative situations that I've had, I think I might defend, and then I don't know if those people really stayed in my life just because Noah was so much more important to me than friends that didn't want to accept him or didn't try to understand him, because I think that was just too hard for me.
Yeah. I don't know that, when I was away from my family and Noah, that there were a lot of times where I was with someone that, was blatantly trying to, attack Noah or people with special needs. But there were definitely times when I was away and there were just people that did not understand at all or were just completely ignorant. And in those times when they said things, I always had a choice. I had to make a choice. Am I going to bring it up? Am I going to say something about this? Am I going to, defend those differences and try to make them understand? Or am I going to let it go, and just kind of change the subject and move on? And, sometimes I would, make the choice and do different things. One of the things, we both went to public school for high school, and, kids love to use the word retard. That was just something they threw around, and every time we're around someone and they say that, it just kind of makes us cringe a little bit, because they use words like that and they say those things and they don't understand, and they don't when we say that, we know they're not a lot of times they use it in a completely unrelated context, and but sometimes they say things and you just think, well, you really don't understand. You don't look at these people for their successes and the things they've accomplished and their amazing differences. You look at them for like they're weird and they're different and you don't like it. So it was always, sometimes I would let it go if I thought the person, they really didn't mean it that way. But there were other times, I love to debate and get into arguments, and there were people who I could tell they didn't mean it they didn't say it because they just didn't realize it was gonna hurt my feelings. They said it to mean something, and those were the times where I really would try to stick up and say, hey, that's not right. My brother Noah is amazing and he has special needs, but he can accomplish so much and he brings so much to our family and to our lives. Just because he's different doesn't mean he's this way. So definitely there are going to be, I'd say there are going to be times where people don't understand or are ignorant, and those are the times where you kind of have to make the decision. Do I say something? Do I just defend Noah, or do I just kind of let it go?
My question is kind of about the resentment stage, how long that lasted and what you did to work out of that, and then also, then also, do you feel a responsibility to take care of him once your parents aren't around anymore?
So I'll touch on the second half of your question, because I didn't really go through a resentment stage. I'm not really sure why. I assume it's because we're so close, and so Noah's really all I've ever known. But Noah's in a group home now, and he has a one-on-one aide all the time, and he just finished school, so he's going to go into some kind of day program, and I think that's really helped a lot in our responsibility for if we have to take care of him when we're older, because we're already kind of past that. Like he's kind of on his own now in his own special way, but we'll still be super involved in his life, but I don't think we really feel a ton of responsibility to be there for the day-to-day, like every second, like how are we going to handle him and our own families when we have them, because he's out of the house. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I'll hit on the second part and then go back to the first part, but definitely with the first part, Noah's often in a group home, and there are people that take care of him, but as my parents struggle with people in the group home, they don't care about Noah in the same way we do, just because he's not part of their family and it's a job for them. So they're constantly fighting and advocating for Noah and fighting for Noah and calling up the house manager and saying, this is not right. This should be different. You didn't pack Noah's lunch right. You didn't do this right. You need to do these things. This is your job. This is what you're paid for. Hopefully we can get Noah into a setting where that kind of stuff is not, doesn't happen as frequently, but I'm sure, into the future, if our parents aren't around, those are the kind of things that we'll have to be doing, and hopefully, some of us stay around Maryland, where Noah is and gets his services, and we can be there for him. But I think we plan to be careful about making sure it's not just one of us that feels like, they have to be the one that takes care of Noah. Like I don't want Hannah to ever feel like she has to stay in Maryland and be the one that takes care of Noah because I'm going to be off doing something else. It has to be teamwork, between the three of us. And it's not just then, it starts now as well. I talked to my parents and had conversations about, Noah's trust and how the finances are going to work and, how we're going to have control. And if our family's going on vacation, we can take Noah and, pay for the money out of his trust and this and that. So, it doesn't just start, when, my parents are really old and we're, in our 50s or something. It starts now, the planning, the preparation, the, thinking about that and how that's going to happen and what it's going to look like really starts at a pretty young age. And to go back to the first part, the resentment stage, I went through a really bad phase. I'm sure, as you all know, if you came from a big family, so you go through a point in your life where your family is the worst, and doing anything in public is just awful. It's just so embarrassing. You just don't want to do anything with your family. I definitely went through a really bad phase of that. Where anything my family did together was, why are they so embarrassing? And Noah. I would say really just kind of made it more challenging. Anything we did as a family, bring Noah, bring all his feeding supplies. We had to bring clothes and wipes and stuff in case he had an accident. And if he didn't have an accident, we had to fix that and take care of that. And everything seemed to take longer because of Noah. Noah couldn't walk as fast as us. So I went through a phase probably between, I'd say like 12 and 13, something like that, where it was just really hard for me. And I always had those feelings of why is it so different for me? Why can't it be more normal? Like I said, that aren't bad feelings to have, but I just had them so often then that it really gave me kind of a negative outlook on it. But I really just grew out of that, and I don't know exactly what changed, but I just started to grow out of it as I started to, Noah got older and I got older, and I started to embrace him more for what he was and realize how much I love him as my brother, and kind of grew out of that phase with my family too. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think a lot of your children will go through that phase. It's a pretty normal thing for any child to go through in a family that family is going to be the worst, and they're not going to want to be around them, and they're going to be embarrassing. And that just gets accentuated a little bit more with a sibling with special needs.
I'm just curious because your family didn't receive Noah's diagnosis until he was much older. How did you all feel when you actually heard what his diagnosis was and were connected to this group? I'm just curious what that feeling was like to realize that, wow, there's these other kids that are just like my brother.
I think at first I just was like, all right, like we finally just have a name for it. Like it didn't change how we reacted to Noah or what we'd always done. But then seeing him last year come to this conference and pictures of all the other kids who looked pretty much just like him, like that was the coolest thing ever for me. And I was like, I don't know if it was like a sense of belonging, but it was just, we aren't alone anymore. And it was really cool, like, especially for him, like, oh my gosh, like it must have been so cool for him to come here and see all these kids just like him. And I think that was the coolest part for me, was for him, how cool that was.
Yeah, I would say for me, it wasn't so much that like when I heard it was like, all right, like something's been answered, like something changes, because, we've just always loved Noah the way he is, and Noah, has his challenges and is different in his own ways. So when we heard, like, oh, this is, the specific genetic disorder, it wasn't so much like, oh, like now there's an answer, there's, they're going to do research and things, could be different. But at first, it wasn't really that big of a deal for me. I thought it was cool. My mom was on the Facebook group and she was talking to people all over the world, and I thought that was cool, but it didn't really change much for me. But like Hannah said, definitely when they came last year, it was like, wow, like it's crazy to think that there are people out there who understand almost exactly, people who know exactly what it's like. And then being here has been crazy, seeing, some people that, reminded me of Noah when he was little, or, I saw a girl this morning that was standing in the exact same way that Noah does, with his arms back and laughing the same way, and kids with monkeys, just like Noah loves monkeys, and it's really crazy, and it's a really awesome thing to be able to experience this, after, because when we were younger, we didn't expect that there would ever be anything like this. So it's a really cool thing.
discussion to say, remember, Noah's the same kid he is today after we know this information than he was yesterday before we knew this information. So I remember several times along our lives having that. I think that was kind of a similar experience when we got the SATB2 diagnosis.
What do you do when someone teases you about your brother?
I think if someone teases you about, your sibling with special needs, I think you kind of have to be really patient with them and say, like, yes, my brother is different, and I can't change that, and yeah, sometimes he's a little weird when he comes out in public, and people don't usually scream or, run around and do different things, but I think if people tease you and they're your friends, then you really need to introduce them to your sibling and just kind of bring them into your family to see how cool your sibling really is. I think that's the most important thing. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, but I would say that, I'm sure there are things that you love about your sibling that, they can do that no one else can really do in the same way, in different ways that they're creative and their successes. So, if your friends are giving you a hard time or teasing you, I would just, just talk to them and in a kind way and say, I know my sibling is different, and they're not like us, and they don't like the same things or do the same things, but they have these really cool other things that they do in their own way that I love, as my sibling. So I would try to talk about those things, and try to help them understand that they're just different in their own way, but that doesn't make them, any less, capable, or it's just different. It's just, they express themselves in different ways, and they have things that they love, and I would bring up those things, the things that make your sibling happy.
Sam, one of the things this reminds me of, I'm wondering if you remember, is the time when Noah was playing Challenger baseball in Brunswick, and you got to be his buddy. And sorry, guys. And one time when they were making the assignments, they were going to assign me not to be in his group. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I actually have a picture of that up here. When I was little, I played Little League Baseball. I had really long, ugly hair then, so just ignore that. But this is Noah. Noah played for a Challenger Baseball League with other kids with special needs, and I played for the local Little League. And they, once a year, they would team up and they do a game where the regular Little League plays with the Challenger Little League. And we were doing that game, and they would, each kid on the Challenger team had a regular Little League buddy that would help them in the field and running the bases. And we got, they would get assigned, and I remember I was really, distraught and unhappy when, I saw that and I wasn't going to get to be with Noah, because I think it was hard for me to think that another kid, was going to get to be with Noah, and that's my brother, and I understand Noah, and I know how to help Noah hit the ball and catch the ball, and I know what to say, and I know the right thing to do. So that was definitely one of those times, and my parents, as you can see, really remember that was a time where I really owned having Noah as my brother and was proud of that, and didn't want another kid to get to experience that with Noah. I wanted that with my brother.
So I was wondering, because me and my brother had this deal. I'm married now, but when we were in high school and when we were dating and stuff, do y'all have like a sibling tract of like, you're not allowed in here, you can't hang, basically, because, so I'm married now, and my husband, before we got married, I was like, are you sure that if something like my parents died tomorrow, are you sure you can handle being part of this, being responsible for Paul and taking him in, and now we have Bill in our family, and I'm so thankful for my husband, because he's been amazing with Paul and Bill. He didn't have to, because he didn't grow up with that. But do you guys have something like that, where you don't bring someone into the Because I know friends are one thing, but like fiancés and husbands and wives are like completely different. And then also with that, do you see your kids being involved with Noah or Noah being involved with your kids? Or do you look forward to that?
Well, I am single, but guys that I have met that don't instantly click with Noah are totally unappealing to me. And I think it's a very unspoken pact that we do have, I think. But yeah, like, we've never really talked about it, but I know in my life when people come in and they aren't instantly comfortable, which I feel like is kind of unfair of me because, you know, we've grown up with Noah, we know everything about him. And so it's kind of unfair to assume that someone could come in and just be comfortable right off the bat. But I think that is super important to me that, you know, they don't just get me, they get Noah too, you know, like, because honestly, he's the person that I love most in the whole world, and he's the most important person in my life. No offense, you guys, you're a very close second. But that is super important. And what was the second part of the question?
What was the second part of the question?